Joining me today is Congressman Kevin Brady of the 8th Congressional District of Texas. He's also on the Ways and Means Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thanks for having me, Samantha.
Of course. Now, I just want to dive right in to some unfortunate news that we have heard from the White House of potential issues ahead of Christmas time, ahead of the holiday season with the supply chain. We've been told from White House officials that people could be expecting higher prices, empty shelves, and might not be able to get, what they want for Christmas, for the holidays. What's the driving force behind these supply chain issues?
Yeah, so I'm glad the White House finally sort of confirmed what everyone knew. On top of the economic crisis, his border crisis, his crime crisis, and President Biden will likely have a Santa Claus crisis here. Everyone's known for some time that with all that stimulus going into the economy, it's driven up prices very high on families. So that's going to impact what they can buy for the holidays. But I think the most important thing is because too many of the policies have paid people more to stay home than to reconnect to work. And that continues with the new child tax credit that no longer is connected to work anymore. What we're seeing and been warned about now for months is that, companies up and down the line just don't have the workers to man production lines, the drivers to deliver the products. They just don't have the commodities. And all of those, by the way, cost more and more each day. So I think it's highly likely that families will get hit with the double whammy come the holidays. Their pocketbooks goes less, so they can't buy the gifts and toys they'd hoped for their family. And secondly, a real question, will they get it at all in time for the holidays? And I think, frankly, the president could be making it worse right now because with the new vaccine mandate, a lot of companies who are trying to get their employees vaccinated or trying to do it the right way really worry that they could lose, 20 to 50% of their workers exactly when they need them the most if that mandate gets imposed here between now and the holidays. So, yeah, there is for families, there's a lot to worry about these days.
Yes, absolutely. And especially after last year with Christmas kind of being up in the air, obviously we were still pretty much in the middle of the pandemic. Some hope that was going into this Christmas season, this holiday season, but unfortunately, as it looks right now, it doesn't seem like these issues with supply chain will be fixed by then. You brought up the child tax credit, which I thought was really interesting because we just had a very, very underwhelming jobs report on Friday. And this report that came out shows that 4.3 million people actually left the workforce back in August. I believe that was just about 2.9% of the workforce. Moving ahead with this reconciliation bill, what can we expect that would incentivize people to get back to work?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we could do is stop making it worse, and that's what this new 3.5 or 5 trillion, whatever the figure is, that's what it does. It takes for example, the child tax credit, which Republicans created in 1997 for a couple of reasons. One, just to help defray the cost of raising kids. That's important. But also as an incentive to reconnect people to work. Part of our welfare reforms that work so beautifully up until this year, that incentivized people to reconnect to work, parents especially. But now that's been removed. And we're hearing from our local businesses that that's replaced those lavish federal unemployment benefits is now as a new barrier for them to hire workers. And so, the worst thing we could do is make that COVID emergency child tax credit permanent. It will actually harm our ability to lift people out of poverty and keep them out of poverty because at the end of the day, it's also going to hurt Main Street businesses who, again, no matter how small you are, how large you are, you're just struggling to find workers. We don't need any more barriers to reconnecting them. And that affects, of course, the economy as well. So it's connected. And I place the blame squarely on the president. These policies are really failing both the country and families.
And from my understanding, there's no work requirement to receive these child tax credits. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we've already heard again from our businesses that they're losing workers because of this. If you what we learned from tax reform and welfare reform is if you incentivize businesses to invest in their workers in the economy, jobs occur and paychecks go up. And after Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we drew millions of people out of poverty. We helped raise, we shrunk income inequality and raised the standard of living for so many families that have been left behind. These policies, including sort of a war on work in America, hurt us in the short term, but ought to frighten us in the long term. We're taking a quarter of a century step backwards, in our progress and in our fight against poverty.
And just to go back to the supply chain issue, just real quick, the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki talked about how the president has been working on these issues for months. There's the supply chain task force. Are you aware of any potential solutions that the administration has to address these ongoing issues?
None whatsoever, unfortunately. They certainly haven't had any discussions with us about how we solve this problem. It seems to me they've been in denial about rising prices. They have long been in denial about the worker shortage we have today. And I think they've finally just come around to the fact that there's a big supply chain issue that you can't talk your way out of. You've got to make good policies. And so far, what we've seen is just the opposite: policies that worsen the supply chain problems, drive up prices, slow deliveries, and frankly, make some of these products unavailable for the holiday season. So I hope they get a clue about what needs to be done, but I think it's too late really to address the, what some are calling a Santa Claus crisis. I think it's too late for that. The best thing they could do is don't make it worse by imposing that vaccine mandate. Certainly between now and the holidays, I would say never, but they can make it worse